the aggression that they opened the game with, I really hope that they continue to play like that, because it wasn't so much the shot making that Jalen was doing. It was the fact that he was so assertive in everything he did. He didn't dance with the ball, like, which drives us nuts. He just made a decision. I'm going to the cup. I'm going to shoot the three, and just went through it. There was no indecisiveness or uncertainty about his game, and he's so much better when he's playing like that. So much better.
It was pretty much a perfect game out of Brown there. So there's really nothing to complain. Again, tone setting, and again, it's impossible to say it without talking about the other guy. But it's like you really didn't miss. You really didn't miss. And what's funny is Tatum still ends up with a better plus minus. But when they're out there, it just didn't feel like you were missing Tatum because again, the thing with Tatum is like, yeah, the impact's there in other ways, but sometimes you feel like he's waiting too long to figure how he's going to affect this particular game. While he was doing that, Brown was doing his thing, so he didn't wait for it. And then, I mean, again, you got to give flowers here. Brown was the guy early, and that second unit came in, and that kind of first built that cushion, right? That little arm's length cushion where they put it at 10, 12, 14, and they kind of kept them away there. You got to give it to Luke, Hauser in there in that first stint. They played really well. It was an all around, solid effort from the bench there. And you see how Cleveland's using a lot of guys, and a lot of them
they're not very good,
and they're really bad. Cleveland went deep, into that bench, and they're just using some guys that just can't play. And Wade will make a little bit of a difference, athletic kind of 3-and-D wing. I mean, he's not a game changer, and he's not going to have a game ever in his life like he did last time he faced the Celtics, but it's better. You got to bump. I mean, again, I know Morris started 2 games ago. He still only got 9 minutes. Tristan Thompson, 16 minutes. Some of those came in garbage time as well. You can't be relying on these guys as part of your regular rotation and have anybody take you seriously. And that's what I wrote in my prediction. I was like, these guys are playing minutes for this team. There's no way. It's Mitchell has to go off. Mitchell's got to play 48, and he's got to go off for 50, and Garland's got to catch fire, or else they're cooked. They just don't have it. They don't have the juice here.
Yeah, no, and there's – go ahead, Jimmy.
No, I was going to say, I mean, without, I mean, even Dean Wade, he was a guy that went off on the Celtics back in March. I mean, he looked like, the other Wade, but he's out for this match. So the Cavs are undermanned to begin with, without Wade, without Allen, and their bench is weak, man. I mean, their bench is LeVert and nobody really. For some reason, Niang's not getting any burn anymore. He was the player last year. It seemed like he was going to have a real impact on this Cavs team, but apparently he's fallen out of the rotation a bit, and he can't barely even get on the court in a blowout loss.
He's not a good defender. I mean, I'm being very kind when I say he's not a good defender.
Right.
You look at the way this Cleveland team's built. They're built around guys who can play both ends of the floor. Maybe not great, but certainly, decent, and he's just not. And he doesn't shoot the ball well enough to compensate for what you're losing at the other end of the floor. Max Strus Max Strus was the one guy for Cleveland I was a little surprised didn't play better. Not just because he's a former Celtic, but when you look at the numbers that he has had against the Celtics, not in terms of scoring, but just impact. Like, Tatum does not score the ball well when Max Strus is guarding him. At least that's the way it was during the regular season. And tonight, Tatum didn't have a great game shooting the ball, but again, as John pointed out, at the end of the day, he still gets a double-double. And, at the half was on triple-double watch, because I think he had 4 assists at the half. So, Cleveland's in a heap of trouble. And again, they had a good season. I know it's only one game. I know we shouldn't be talking about the next round, but damn it, there's just nothing about this Cleveland team that inspires me to think that they can do anything other than just show up, take that ass whooping like an adult, and go back to Cleveland. 1, 2, 3, Cancun.
I was going to say, can we do Cancun instead of having to play this series? Just give these guys a little relax some and call it.
Testing my skills on Prize Picks this season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, You can turn $10 into $1,000 with just a few taps. Use the code CLNS for the first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Here's the thing. Everyone's saying it in the chat, and it's fair. It was Celtics came out, just absolutely put a beat down in Miami in game 1, and then did their game 2 thing. I don't think that's going to happen again this year. We have to acknowledge that it's possible. And so I think game 2 is it. I think they win game 2. It's 4 or 5, and that's it. I mean, that's not a ridiculously bold take, but this is where you're like, with them, like I say, it's always, can you repeat it? Right. Like,
right.
There's no question. They're human. They know. They came away from this thinking like, we weren't even great tonight, and we killed these guys.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, that complacency does set in.
But it's real.
What I liked about tonight, and again, this is going to be a bit of a knock on Tatum, is, I always think that stuff starts top down with Tatum and Brown when they kind of take it easy, or like, let me just give me the ball. I'm gonna burn this guy, and it gets a little mucky muck, and the offense grinds to a halt. I don't think the other guys are going to allow him to. I like Derek White had the ball in his hands a lot tonight. I think if you don't allow yourself to even begin doing that, matchup hunting, slowing it down, trying to get hot, find your shot, fine. Who cares if Tatum doesn't score in a first quarter again? Again, you don't need it. The best version of this team does not need to get a particular player going. I'm hoping they don't do that this time. And yes, that's exactly right. It's exactly right. Like, they're going to try to take him away. The doubles are going to come. They're going to be looking. They want to get him to force uncomfortable shots and fadeaways and, and this and that, and, throw a lot of bodies at him. Fine. They're just let the other guys do it. It's fine.
So that's the thing is, like, we would criticize Tatum if the roster was designed in a way where he didn't have other options. We'd be criticizing him for forcing horrible shots up and, trotting back on deep, you know what I mean? And just playing bad overall basketball. But the fact that they do have all those other options, the fact that Jaylen Brown can drop 20 points, in the first half, and the fact that Derek White can hit 7 threes, Tatum doesn't have to feel like he needs to overdo things and force things and take ridiculous shots that we've seen in past years and then we've got on him for. So yeah, it might feel like he's less aggressive or deferring or just not a part of the action. That might actually all be true, but it's because the Celtics are having success in that game during that moment. He's not required to put up 30 shots and to score 40 points in a game like this. And that's the difference between Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum, really, is the situation that they're in. You can go out and say, Mitchell's a much better offensive player than Tatum. And there's probably some stats that would back that up. I think more than anything, situation. Donovan Mitchell has to score 40 points a game if the Cavs want to have a prayer. He scores 33 tonight. They don't have a prayer. Even if he did end up 40, they wouldn't have had tonight. But point being is he needs to look for his shot almost every single time down the court, because who the hell else is going to be doing that? Whereas for the Celtics, I mean, I don't have to tell everybody here. Everybody knows the option that they have, and Porter isn't even in the game right now. So that's a roster that Brad's designed with that in mind, that if you want to go heavy on a guy like Tatum and force him to pass it or force him to focus on the defensive side and offensive side, fine. There's other guys that are going to be able to carry that load. You better not forget about Derek White, because he's going to hit 7 threes on it.
Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets at Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS and get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.